Just one day after Mayor LaToya Cantrell made the recommendation to shut down all major events through 2020, Essence Festival organizers announced that festival will be canceled as they now look ahead to 2021. Sharice Gibson is working remotely this evening and joins us now live with how it impacts the state and local economy. It's a big one, right, Sharice?
Yeah, definitely a big one, Katie. Essence Festival has drawn more than 500,000 tourists to the city of New Orleans. A lot of that having to do with the success of the box office hit Girls Trip. Well, as the cloud of uncertainty hovers over New Orleans, Essence Festival decided to forego the 2020 festival to focus on the festival in 2021.
It's far more than a party. Essence Festival not only draws major foot traffic in one weekend to New Orleans, but major tourism, which equals to major tourism dollars. In 2018, the festival reported a record-breaking $280 million impact on both the city and state, the highest fiscal impact in the festival's history at the time.
My opinion is all of that pushed back. Period.
An impact the city won't feel this year after Mayor Cantrell suggested the festival, along with other major events, not move forward as we continue to combat COVID-19 in New Orleans.
My recommendation is absolutely no large events such as French Quarter Fest and Jazz Fest, even Essence Festival.
Just one day after Mayor Cantrell's recommendation, the festival responded, saying in part, New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell bravely recommended yesterday that no large events take place in New Orleans in 2020, and Essence fully supports that decision. We are confirming today that we will no longer move forward with the 2020 Essence Festival of Culture live experience and look forward to returning to New Orleans in 2021. According to officials with the state's Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism, the economic impact of Essence just last year was around $300 million, with an attendance of nearly 500,000 people. And over its 25-year history in New Orleans, officials say the festival has brought in a total of $4 billion.
And Essence has done what we have all really had to do, that is gone virtual. They plan to host Essence Festival still on the dates that were supposed to happen here in New Orleans, but instead it will be a virtual festival via their streaming services. And coming up at 6 o'clock, I speak with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. He gives me an update on what it means or the impact that it has on the state when festivals like Essence pull out during these COVID impact hard economic times. Back to you guys.